Hi, Miss
Hi, Miss Sharon.
Ann. Hi, everyone. Sharon J. Lawrence is here, and I'm back. And
Yes,
it's day 11. Can y'all believe it? We're almost halfway through, but we're not rushing it because this is super awesome, right? Day
absolutely.
11. And I'm here with the amazing Miss Ann, or I say Lady Ann Dillard, licensed marriage and family therapist, and the extraordinary woman who helps mother-daughter relationships thrive. How are you, Miss Ann?
I am so blessed and honored to be here with you tonight. Hey, it's so exciting to be on the other side of the mic,
Yes, because
right?
you do this every week.
Usually every week I'm on with Teen Talk Live. And so it's just, oh my goodness, it's an honor just to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And you know everything that goes into planning, right? And so here I am talking about 31 days. So I'm like, Lord, help. But
I
it,
saw that and I said, God, you must have given her a special anointing for that.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm truly grateful for you joining me, and I am ready. I want you to tell the people more about you, who you are, where you're located, and what it is that you specialize in.
Excellent. It's again, thank you for having me on this forum. I'm glad to be here. I'm Ann Dillard. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am coming to you from right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I work in private practice and I specialize in helping teens to heal. And
Awesome.
in working with teens, what we do know is that you get to work with the family because
Yes.
they're not, living independently of their families. So,
Mm-hmm.
an LMFT, I work with the whole family system,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
A lot of times, mostly mothers will call me and they're like, my teen is this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
And when 9 times out of 10, when I get down to it, it really has to do with that core mother-daughter relationship. Why
Mm.
she acting, like she's acting, why she's so disrespectful,
Mm-hmm.
why these different things are happening. So that's my primary focus is working with teens, but also healing the mother-daughter relationship.
That's awesome. Can you tell the people how long you've actually been doing this work?
Wow. I have as a licensed clinician,
Mm-hmm.
only about a few years, but before that, I've been doing this for a while. Now, my
Okay.
focus really went to healing the mother-daughter relationship when I started my own healing journey.
Wow.
Yes, and I know that there was always that need, but last year when I was, or year before last, when I was invited to be a part of this anthology, Unchain My Legacy,
Yes.
with visionary author Audra R. Upchurch, that's when I started to dig deeper and started
Mm.
to really pull it all together. And so it started with being able to write this. I had to face some of my own stuff and
Mm.
own some of my own stuff as a
Mm-hmm.
mom,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Can you tell me, has it been difficult for you, or is it difficult? I shouldn't say for you, but for the teens and for the moms to face themselves in all of this? Because a lot of times I know there's a lot of projecting, there's a lot of blaming, or they feel like they're just misunderstood.
It's really difficult, and one of the reasons why it's so difficult is because if you look at the teen and mom unit, right,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's that hierarchy, the
Right.
parental hierarchy. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of teens that I work with, not just teens, I work
Okay.
with 30-year-olds, 35
Mm-hmm.
year olds who say,
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that to my mom. I can't
Right.
set boundaries. So the mom, that's like the untouchable
Yes. Yes.
figure in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I can talk about my mom, but nobody else better not talk about my mom. Right, and you have that loyalty and you have
Yeah.
that dedication. And so when we're doing this work, a lot of times people feel guilt
Mm-hmm.
around peeling the layers back and looking at what is the source of your symptoms or the things that you're experiencing. So it's hard on all levels to really look at the mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because you're asking them, one, to come to grips with their own level of pain and responsibility, and they have to kind of be willing to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
To even tap into that area. That's always hard, because nobody wants to deal with themselves. It's easier to deal with the other person.
Exactly. And the thing about when we're looking at the mother-daughter relationship is a lot of times it's hard for the mother to hold both realities. That yes, I've been a good mother, and I've also caused some hurt to my daughter. And so to hold both those truths is very difficult. So if in a lot of cases, if you address your mom about something that you really want to talk about, her stance will be, but I did this for you, and I did this, and I sacrificed this, and I did this, and I made sure this, that, and the other. And it comes off as, if not done properly, it's interpreted as, I'm saying that you were a bad mom. And really and truly, we're not saying that you were a bad mom, but in a lot of cases, daughters need that validation and that acknowledgement that, yes, I was a good mom, and I made some big mistakes too.
I want you to go further into that, because I have encountered a lot of scenarios of women who have been abused.
Yes.
Where their parents knew, or mom in particularly knew, but wanted to pretend it never happened.
Yes.
And they often will, ask me as friends or colleagues and say, well, what do you think of that? I said, a lot of times it's easier for a mom. I shouldn't say easy. That's not a good choice of words, but it's the choice they choose, the path that they choose, because it's hard for them to come to grips that they allowed something to happen to their child.
Exactly. And that is so key. And also, a lot of times what we find moms who are dealing with their own unresolved trauma.
That they've never shared, I'm sure.
Never shared. So if I accept the fact that this is happening to you, then I have to accept the fact that it's happened to me.
That's right.
And somebody didn't protect me either.
Have you had situations like that where you had to help them come to grips with that? And what does that process look like for somebody who's watching live right now?
Yes, I've had situations like that. And part of the process is working. I work with the mother and the daughter separately, because first you have to really come to grips with your own pain, your own trauma, and own that before you can come together and hear from somebody else what they needed from you and you weren't able to give. So I work with both parties separately to work through and process some of their own trauma, and then bring them together so that they can hear each other's truths. And that is a very delicate process. It's a very tender time, because we pass on as mothers. We might say in a lot of cases, I'll never do this, I'll never do that. But without the proper skills and the intentionality, it's what's natural and it's default for us. And so we naturally pass on some of those things.
Even though say that again. Without the proper skills.
Without the proper skills, without the intentionality, we resort to our default, which is what we learn, what we grew up with, what we've seen. And we resort to our default ways of handling situations and subconsciously pass that on. right? But
Yes.
there are people who I admire who have seen, they've looked at their own situations and they've said, not on my watch.
Mm.
And they have intentionally
Mm.
sought out tools, sought out mentors,
Mm.
sought out different avenues to make sure that they don't pass those things on.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one quote that says, we repeat what we don't heal.
That's right.
Right. And then there is, as a therapist, there's this theory that I really, really like. It's the contextual theory by Ivan Naj.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about we give to the, well, first of all, it looks at the family unit as each person being born with a ledger or a balance sheet. Right. And so on that, and being born with a ledger or balance sheet, what it says is we give what has been given to us to balance out our own ledgers, but subsequently we take what has been taken away from us as well. So and that's where you see generational patterns, what we call generational curses. So we spend a lot of our time trying to balance Big Mama's balance sheet, and her ledger, and Granddaddy's ledger. That's not ours to balance. And so it keeps going down generation. We keep taking away from the next generation, trying to balance those ledgers. And what's taken away from them, then they end up taking away from the next generation. And this is how we perpetuate generational patterns.
Wow. So basically, start your own ledger.
Balance it. Learn what's in your control. Learn what's in your control. Don't be afraid of, the dark or the dark side of your story, because it's only through shedding light on it that healing can start to happen.
That's right.
And it's a painful process, but if you hang in there and you get the proper help and the proper guidance, you'll get through on the other side. And on what the other side looks like is emotional health and wellness, setting up a legacy of emotional health and wellness. Right?
Oh, I had to clap because that legacy is so key. I talk about that all the time.
Yes. That legacy.
I was in the car on, what's today? Today is Wednesday.
Yes.
And I was actually in the car Monday morning driving to work. And I said, God, I want my legacy to be that mental health was a mission for me. That if they knew nothing about me, family, friends, colleagues, I want them to always know that mental health is very important for me.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And if your family picked that up and carried on, that lives longer than you will.
That's right. That if Sharon prioritizes it and it was important to her, maybe she was onto something.
Yes.
Maybe what they're saying, they're onto something. Legacy is key.
Yes, it is so important. So important, because you know what? We're going to leave a legacy. Bottom line, we're going to leave a legacy. But what I'm saying is, let's be intentional.
Yes.
Let's be purposeful in creating the type of legacy that we want to leave.
Absolutely.
Because either way, you're gonna be remembered for something. You're gonna leave a legacy. Yes. And so, it's good stuff.
This is amazing stuff. It's better than good. Good is good, but it's even better than good.
Right. And Sharon, the thing about it is, while we a lot of times put our mothers on pedestal, and they need to be on their pedestals, and we need to reverence them. And part of that, again, is looking at the other stuff that comes, the not so good stuff, because that's one of the most foundational relationships that we have. The mother-daughter foundational relationship, for me, in my opinion, is the blueprint for all other relationships that we have. It's the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at women who struggle with having relationships with other women,
Mm-hmm.
you trace that back, you can, in most cases, there's a point where they have difficulties with their mothers.
Right.
And mothers might tell you, don't trust no woman, you don't do this, you don't, the messages that are passed on. And that continues to create that division in our relationship, the attachment that happens between mothers and daughters, that has a direct impact on how you're able to attach in other intimate relationships.
The inability to trust. And if you do have a connection, it's a distant connection.
It is. And in a lot of cases, if it's not healed, what we end up doing is we end up perpetuating that self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's right.
See, I told you women were no good, or I told you you can't trust nobody.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, because that's what you're putting out.
Right.
Yes.
So we have a couple of people on, we have quite a few. Your business bestie and my friend, Marquita. Janelle Johnson is watching. Kiki is watching. Nakaya, hey Pooh. Wanya is watching. So these people from all over. Dr. Kiba Rogers is on. She's from New York. Wanya is in Florida. My cousin Janelle, who is a licensed mental health counselor, she will be on in a few weeks to share information as well. So I'm excited about that. She's in New York City. And so Marquita wants to make sure you don't forget to talk about the tween teen cards.
That is funny, because I have to talk to her. She ordered a set for her and her son. And these are conversation cards that I developed to help adults and parents have conversation with their teens and their tweens around adultification, which is seeing our Black and brown children as older than they are, right? And it talks about social media, relationships, self-esteem, and growth mindset. So we also explore in those cards, we talk about texturism, colorism. You know, one of the questions is, if you can choose your complexion, if you had a choice, what complexion would you be?
Wow.
And why? So those are the kinds of things that I've created to help have those conversations, and not just mother-daughter, but mother-son. Teens getting to know themselves and understanding each other, to have those core conversations, so that also you can impart your values. And you get a chance to say to a little girl who said, well, I wish my hair was this. You say, honey, you are beautiful, just the way God created you. Right? So these are powerful tools to help mend and to help bridge the gap in these relationships.
These sound amazing, but I will say I'm going to encourage some adults to get these cards for themselves, because there are, I primarily work with adults, and I am a therapist for therapists, professionals, and couples. And so when I'm working with my adults, sometimes it's almost like I'm dealing with the younger child who has not resolved a lot of trauma.
Absolutely.
As we know. So these cards.
Absolutely.
We may need to tap into this.
A set, Miss Sharon, that's the mother-daughter set.
Oh, did y'all hear that? There's a mother-daughter set.
There is a mother-daughter set, and I'm getting rave reviews from all over the country, from mothers and daughters who are using it to have these hard conversations. You know, questions like, what dreams did you put on hold when you became pregnant with me?
Wow.
Or tell me the story of my name. Or I feel valued when you, or I wish you would stop doing, I wish you would do more of. You know, so different conversations like that to spark deeper, insightful conversations, to build opportunities for healing and restoring, strengthening the bond.
And I'm just like, I'm speechless, y'all. This information is so good, but even as I think about the cards, I would encourage, even if you're an individual, you're a woman who maybe you don't have a child, or maybe your parent has passed on, but you're still having some challenges. I encourage you to still get these cards to figure out how you see yourself.
Absolutely. Because I encourage you, especially if your parents have passed on and you have some unresolved things going on with you too, I encourage you to use them as journaling prompts.
Yes.
To journal, to write about it, to talk about it. And as girlfriends, we also use the cards amongst us as girlfriends, because we might not be ready to have these conversations with our mothers or our daughters.
Wow.
But sometimes our girlfriends can call us up and say, hey, I see this. And you might feel like you're this, but this is what I see in you. So it helps to buffer you and prepare you to walk into the arena and have these difficult conversations.
Wow.
Yes. So the mother-daughter, I'm telling you, it's foundational. The work is foundational, because that relationship is biological, it's physical, it's spiritual, it's emotional.
It's everything.
Hardly anybody else has the ability to walk in the room and look at you and make you either feel 10 foot tall or 2 feet tall.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
That's the power of your mother.
Okay, let's see. Do you all have any questions? Y'all need to get on this quickly, because y'all know it's only 30 minutes. But we are bringing such deep information. Marquita said, a mother relationship is foundational for all relationships. Thank you for sharing the gems.
Yeah.
And then she says, we all need the tools to help us out. Thank you. It takes a village.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Wani says, great conversation. We're getting some hearts. Dr. Kiva's on. She's going to be on at the end of the month. So I'm excited about that. Kiki's actually going to be on in a few weeks as well. So, and Marquita just was on for week 1.
Yes.
So we are really trying to make sure we connect to everyone. So everyone, please share and let us know if you have any questions. We only have a few more minutes before Miss Ann leaves me. Before she leaves me.
Before I leave, in the book, Unchain My Legacy, one of the things that I wrote about in the there is the awareness. We have 10 awareness in the back of my chapter. My chapter is entitled, I Wish I Knew This When I Was 13. So there are some things that I wish I had known. One of the biggest things that I wish I knew when I was 13 was that my uniqueness is a gift to the world. My round face, my dark complexion, whatever it is about me, it's a gift to the world, and that gift needs to be cultivated. Right. So in the back, I gave awareness about my process, and they serve as tips to people who want to heal their mother-daughter relationship. Right. And so this is slightly older than teenagers, because when you're a teenager, you're still a part of that core unit. Right. So it we do a little different work. But for the adults who want to heal that relationship, awareness, number one, acknowledge that I have made mistakes as a parent. This is to mothers. Acknowledge that you've made mistakes as a parent. So if your child comes to you, your daughter comes to you and say, hey, this was how I experienced life in your household. Know that you've made some mistakes. You haven't been perfect, but it doesn't make you a bad person. Right. So acknowledge that. Number two, own my stuff without deflecting or blaming.
Wow.
So owning that, instead of saying, well, you know, your granddaddy and your grandmama, that was passed on to me, and I couldn't be the mother that I wanted to be because your daddy wasn't there, and own your stuff. I'm so sorry that was your experience on my watch.
That's right.
That's a part of owning and validating, right? Not saying that's not how it went. That 20 people could be in that same house, have the same experience, and experience it differently.
That's right.
They can experience the same event differently, right? And number 3 said, committing to the unchaining process, no matter how long it takes or how difficult it may be. Because as a mother, you might be ready to heal some of those things. Your not your kids, but your daughters may not be ready.
That's right. So, read one more, Miss Ann, because I need them to get the book. I don't want you to give all the goods away.
No, I have 10 of them, and they're going to have to buy the book.
That's right. Buy the book.
Yes.
Buy the book. I said, buy it.
Yes. So here's number 6.
Okay.
Sometimes the things that I am trying to avoid manifest in different ways if they are not addressed. So learning those and having those awarenesses is really key to unchaining your relationship.
So to sum this up, everyone, Miss Ann says, what you don't address, you cannot heal, and it is bound to repeat itself. Yes. If you are not intentional about addressing your trauma. She also said, what you try to avoid will not go away. It will manifest itself in some other way, shape, or form, and it will keep haunting you until you choose to address it.
That's right.
And what I will say is, heal yourself. Do the work. And do it afraid.
Yes.
Do it afraid. It's very uncomfortable. I tell people therapy and the healing process is freeing, but it can also be painful.
Very much so.
But in the end, yes, but it's worth it.
It is.
It's worth it.
Really is.
Okay, Miss Ann. So we're at the end. And what I need you to do is tell people what is coming up next for you and how they can find you on social media.
Wow. So coming up the beginning of the year, I'm going to have the Mother-Daughter Challenge. So it's a 31-day challenge that's coming up. Look for that. I also have the Mother-Daughter cards, the Teen Tween talk cards and board game. So look for that. I did the foreword for one of Audra's last books. It's called Unchain Me, Mama, The Forgiveness Process.
Wow.
So the forgiveness factor. So that's coming up. Or that's out. You can get that also and read those stories, those mother-daughter stories and the forgiveness factor. Okay. And tune in on Monday nights for Teen Talk Live. And you can find me on social media at Ann Dillard .lmft for Instagram, Ann Dillard LMFT on different handles, Ann Dillard on Facebook.
All right. I am writing that all in there.
Yes.
You may have to go in and check it to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Okay, no problem. I think you got it.
Miss Ann, thank you so much for joining me tonight and helping me on this 31-day journey. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. And this has been a pleasure. And I know that what you are sharing is healing lives, and we need that. So thank you for your vision.
Thank you. And as I did before, I'm got to bow down to Miss Ann, y'all. She is amazing. Oh, before you go, please tell them about Project Safety Net.
Project Safety Net, yes, that's my baby. And we are planning our 13th missions trip to Senegal, West Africa. And that's going to be on March 13th through the 27th. Okay. So we're looking for donations to run our girls' conference. We have a girls' conference every year. We deliver hygiene kits to help girls manage their cycles so they can go to school and get educated. So check us out at www.projectsafetynets.org. And if you need more information about that, I'm going to be sharing and conducting our fundraiser. So we need your support. We need used eyeglasses. We need a whole bunch of stuff to help make a difference.
Okay. www.projectsafetynets.com.
Org.
Okay. Glad I asked. Okay. Got it. All right. I think we have covered it all.
Yes, we have.
The amazing Miss Lady Ann Dillard, licensed marriage and family therapist. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Miss Lady Sharon Lawrence.
Yeah.
The one and only.
Thank you. All right, everyone. That's a wrap for tonight. Please tune in tomorrow. Look forward to sharing more of this information on 31 days of healthy relationship tips. That's a long name, but it is filled with information.
Yes, indeed.
Until next time, have a good night.